I think.
Should have put my information
Here.
on your front porch of your house.
I like that. Okay. And so it's in the afternoon,
The afternoon.
and I'm drinking 50-50 tea with a lemon.
Sounds good.
Oh, great. This is wonderful. And how many, so I got a cow-calf operation?
We're going to say you're a stalker.
Stalker.
That's going to be a lot easier for you.
Oh, great.
We're
Okay.
going to say you're a stalker operator and you're getting about 2 to 3 pot loads of cattle a week to feed out to be sent to a feedlot.
Great. Okay. Colby, sure glad you're here. And I don't know if you know it or not, but Jay and Caitlin are my son and daughter in business with me, and they're very interested in what...
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, sir.
They'd be very interested in what you have to say, and so I got a couple of questions to start. Is that I heard, of course, Bayer. I know about Bayer aspirin, and I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about why you're representing Bayer and Baytril 100, and then tell me about it, and just whatever you want to talk about. Great, let her rip.
Yes, sir. Well, as you said, Bayer, you've heard of aspirin, but Bayer also deals in animal science, pharmaceuticals as well. The pharmaceutical field for these in Bayer has really grown over the last few years. For number one, because in a rising population, so there's more food having to be produced.
Mm-hmm.
So that means healthier animals means healthier people. So we're trying to, step up the game in human pharmaceuticals as well as animal pharmaceuticals as well. And specifically here today, I'm here to talk to you about Baytril. Baytril is the number one selling antibiotic in its class. It outsells everything else that's comparable to it.
How did you come to be acquainted with Baytril?
Baytril is really the number one antibiotic that Bayer pushes. It's their number one seller, and it outsells every antibiotic on the market. Now, you've probably heard of Mycotil, you've heard of Nuflor. Mm-hmm. Those antibiotics are great antibiotics by our competitor of Merck, but they're not quite there to where they need to be. Simply,
What do you mean by that?
well, they do fight 3 of the main pathogens in bovine respiratory disease.
Mm-hmm.
But Bayer has taken, with permission of Merck and those other companies, and really threw in one more that takes away the Mycoplasma bovine.
What do you mean with permission of Merck?
We've went in with Merck and done a study together, actually. Bayer has, to come up with this Baytril. So it's basically the new and improved version of these other antibiotics on the market.
But still, how did you come to hear about it? How did you come to be acquainted with it?
Bayer sent me to be trained to
Well, I mean, how did you even hear about Bayer in the first place? You're sleeping in the middle of the night and say, I got to go to work for Bayer. I mean, you had personal experience with it, or how did you?
I actually had an experience with a guy with Ivesco Animal Health, and Ivesco is a...
Tell me a little bit about that.
Ivesco is a distributor of Bayer products.
Mm-hmm.
Bayer is on the market for a new representative for this region, and I had the opportunity to go with Ivesco, interview with Ivesco. They really liked me, but it just wasn't going to work because they were really full of representatives.
Mm-hmm.
So Bayer called me a representative, so I made a couple of phone calls, and I went and had a meeting in Michigan, and
Wow.
today. So,
Wow. Good for you.
yes, sir.
Great. I'm happy you're here. Well, tell me a little bit more.
Okay, Baytril 100. I understand you guys also, I guess you receive 2 or 3 pot loads of calves a week. I understand that. Is that correct? You guys are sending a lot of cattle to feedlots in. Feedlots, big problem is respiratory problems. Bovine respiratory disease is the number one killer of cattle in the feedlot. So if we start with you guys have these stalker calves. If you guys treat these calves when they first come into your place from another cow-calf operators, that prevents those calves from getting sick in the feedlot and dying. Dying calves and losing money. So if you have healthy cattle, you're going to make money.
Makes sense so far.
Okay? There's a turn here, I got a pamphlet here. It actually tells us a little bit about Baytril. You guys can get a good look at it here. I guess I'll sit it this direction.
I'll tell you what, can you read upside down and just
You bet.
and just hit some of the salient features and the high points?
You bet. As I mentioned earlier, it finds those four pathogens that are carried in BRD. That's the main reason that Baytril is so successful on the market. For number one, it kills those 4. For number 2, it's effective within 1 to 2 hours.
That's good. We've had a problem with that, haven't we?
You guys have probably had a problem with injecting these cattle and expecting it to be going into effect really fast, and it's probably not working very fast, but Baytril is going to go to work 1 to 2 hours. Not only that, it can be used as a prevention or it can be used as a treatment. So you can control it, or you can prevent this BRD with this Baytril 100. Now, you probably heard the old phrase, a little bit more is probably a lot better. So Baytril's kind of that way. If you give a calf, the recommended dosage for Baytril is 3.5 cc's or milliliters to 5.5 depending on the weight per 100 weight.
And you're going to come out and do that?
No, sir. I'll try to guide you along, though. I'll help you guys get the correct dosage for these cattle. But if the 3.5 dosage per 100 weight is really, that's what we consider the control. That's to prevent. Now, if you're going to call it treatment, we want you to bump it up. The more the merrier. That's what we like to call it. So the more you give these cattle, the better chance you have of stopping this BRD and any other disease that may affect the lungs.
Okay. You guys got any questions?
That sounds good to me.
Well, I've really not heard of Baytril, and I'm kind of happy with where I am.
Can you tell me what product you're currently using?
What am I currently using?
Maybe Mycotel or Nuflor?
I think it's Nuflor.
Nuflor.
Nuflor. Okay. Well, as I said earlier, Baytril is off of Bayer. Bayer has worked with Merck. Merck is another great company in animal pharmaceuticals. And Baytril is just the new and improved version of these medications, just simply because they treat more and they work faster.
I've heard this stuff is kind of expensive.
Yes, sir, it is. It's about $109.
What?
It's $109.
It's about one person every semester that gets that.
It is about $109 per 100 milliliters or cc's. It's kind of expensive, but the theory of it is if you spend the money to keep the cattle healthier, you're going to make money in the long run. It's going to help you.
As you talked about, if they die at the feedlot, it really doesn't do any good. So
It sure doesn't.
press on.
Well, that's really all I have to say about Baytril. It's really simple. It can be broke, like I said. It treats the 4 major pathogens. It can be treated. It goes to work 1 to 2 hours. It's fast acting because of that. You can give a single dosage for the prevention or the treatment. It can be taken care of with one simple shot of those cattle coming off the truck.
Well, what you say is great stuff, and it all sounds wonderful.
Okay, well, can I possibly get you guys a bottle today and let you try it out for yourself? And if you're happy with it, I'll be back.
So, in other words, you're just going to say, you're going to drive by and you're going to throw a bottle in the mailbox and say good luck?
No, sir, I'll hand deliver it to you. I'll come by and I'll give it to you personally.
What do you guys think?
I think we need more than a bottle right now.
We need more in a bottle?
Okay, need a case or
Can we
two?
ask questions? Can we ask questions?
Absolutely.
Okay, I do have a question.
I'm counting on you.
You
to
say
ask
the more the
questions.
better, or the more you give, the better. Is that ever gonna result in like resistance? I mean, with antibiotics, that is like a big thing. So, like sometimes the more you give to them, they become resistant to it, and they don't respond to it when you give it to them when they need it.
I understand that. That's a great question. But with Baytril, as it says, the more the merrier. Baytril, all it does is go straight to the lungs. It stays in the lungs, and it doesn't go anywhere else. So it goes to where the problem is, and it's going to stay there. Your question basically is it going to build resistance? No, it can't build resistance because it had an opportunity to, because it goes straight to the lungs. Now, you've probably heard, as an old farmer always says, if you take like a bolus and you give straight to the lungs, it damages the lungs. This isn't a bolus. This isn't a pill. This is under the skin, a subcutaneous shot. It's going to go straight to the lungs slowly. It has to go through a lot of stuff to get there. But once it gets to the lungs, it stays there. So I don't think you have a problem with building resistance.
What other questions?
That's all I have.
Wow.
What? Well, is this something we want to try on everything all at once, or would we want to try it on some and as a test against what we're using, or what do you guys think?
I mean, I think since it is kind of expensive, we could try it out, test it to see, or we buy just a whole bunch and then kind of.
What if you guys let me know when you get a truck in? I'll come and help you guys out. And
What do you mean help us out?
I'll help you guys administer 1 load of cattle, and you can take those cattle and compare it to your other products and see how it's working for you.
Sounds pretty reasonable to me.
Sounds great.
I mean, we're all for making money. We're doing okay, but there's no harm in keeping more dollars in our pocket than we've done in the past. All right, so what's next?
What's next is, I guess I can give you guys a card and give me a holler if you're ready to try it out. and I can come back by and visit with you. And
Let me try this again. You asked us if we're ready, and we said yes. So what's next?
Let me sell you a bottle. I'll come by and bring you a bottle.
And how does that work? What's the mechanics of that? How do we do it? Do I sign something right now, or what?
No, sir. I'll take a handshake. That's a man's word, I think.
Okay,
If I shake your hand, I think that's your word.
great. And so then, when we got a next in 1 week, is that when we need him back?
I'd say, yeah, 1 week, a week and a half, somewhere.
Okay, we'll give you a shout. We got you. You can give me your card. I got your cell phone number. That's great. I'll give you a shout, and then I'll call you ahead of time so you can come back. And yeah, we would be very interested in helping us out and getting started. And then you're going to be here to follow up with us.
Yes, sir.
Great.
I'll be here to follow up with
Wonderful.
you. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
sir.
Uh-huh.
Thank you very much. Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you.
Feel free. How'd you do?
I did all right, but I didn't know how to close it. So when I came in here, I didn't really know how to close this. I didn't know if I was supposed to try to sell you a whole case of it, sell you one bottle of it, or I didn't know how it was going to work.
Yeah, well, you did just fine. You did great, and brought honor to yourself and the class. But that's exactly right. Is that we said yes, and then you just say okay. Then it's going to be whatever. How much is it going to be? How much did I buy?
$109
$109 for a bottle.
Yes.
I said $109. Okay. Then you just say $109, and I'll bring it out next week and whatever. So yeah, just follow through. If somebody's saying they're going to buy it, just. If you get 99% of the way there, unless you get the last 1%, it's in vain. But you did great. Your opening and probing, I thought was just fine. Let's see, we got benefits. Oh, and objections. Okay, and objections. Tell me about what objections that we have.
Your product was currently working. Is that what it was?
You're wrapping up, but what was one of the big questions we had?
If it would cause resistance.
Could cause resistance.
Yeah, and I would say that was probably, you guys tell me, that's probably the most important question of the whole thing, isn't it?
That was a good question.
Yeah, because all the other stuff you can work around or whatever, but if it causes resistance, that's not good. So I thought you did a great job of handling that, and immediately, you were not just addressing me. I told you they were in the business, and you were addressing them as well, which was very good. And when she asked the question, you directly addressed her. When we go buy things, my wife buys everything in our family except the groceries. We go in to buy something, and I tell them, she is doing all the buying. Direct all your questions to her. And guess who they talk to?
Talk to you.
And they talk to me, and I immediately redirect them. So excellent, you picked up on that right away and did it. And the close, and overall you're going to do just fine. But on the close, absolutely be listening when somebody says that they're ready to buy. Then just throw a softball out there and say, well, how about I bring a $109 bottle by next week or something like that. It doesn't have to be real formal, but just go ahead and throw it out there and keep it moving along. And I'm going to write a few comments down. All right, what are your comments, guys?
I thought it was good. Just sealing up the clothes quicker and just more solid. Good opening though.
Opening any when he had when he asked you the questions, you didn't take very long to answer him back here quick. To know about what you were selling.
You knew a lot about your competitors, which is interesting.
Yes. There's one thing that I didn't feel you really did for me, what I would have liked. I kept asking you several times, how did you come to know about Bayer?
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say.
And what you say is the truth. That this is how I was with somebody else's ranch, and that's how I found out about it, and I saw the results that it had, and I said, boy, that's a product I want to sell. So whatever the truth is, that's what you tell somebody. You don't fabricate somebody, just tell them whatever it is. Because people like references and personal experience, and that's what I was asking for, is tell me about personal experience. Okay, so let's write this down, and then we'll go on to the next one. So, opening and probing, just fine.
I do have a question really fast.
Great.
For you. Sometimes, if somebody asks you a question, I've always been told, which, I feel like you should, and you don't know the answer, you say, well, I really don't know, I can definitely find that out and get back to you. Do you feel like that hurts you with a customer.
What is
I mean,
always the best policy?
Honesty.
Honesty, absolutely, positively. If somebody asks you a question, now if you think you know the answer, go on, you can say, I think what it is, but I'm going to find out for sure, and I'll call you back this afternoon or in the morning. It just depends upon the severity, how important it is. Or you say, that's a darn good question. I can get an answer for you right now. Would you mind if I get on the phone? Let's get an answer right now. So I mean, that's something you'll read at the time. But absolutely, if you don't,
because like I knew, honesty is the best policy, and so that goes a long way with them. But then, like I didn't know also, in the long run, if that was like, well, sometimes because you don't want them to think, well, they don't really know enough about it, and kind of so I shouldn't know.
if you're dealing with a reasonable person, they're going to understand that
not
you're new,
everybody knows.
that you're new and you're fresh and you're learning and you're not going to know everything. But I still know that it's worth my time to invest time in you because you're going to bring information to me. So that's going to be just fine with me as long as you follow up and get an answer back to me. If I'm going to be a pain in the neck, when you've got all these different customers out there, and if you've got other customers you can go spend time with those other customers rather than the pain in the neck. Now,
Right.
sometimes the pain in the neck is got the most money and the most cattle and whatever, so that's just benefits. You did a great job of explaining the benefits. Handling objections, you answered the big one about immunity.